It's daily game design time, and I'm gonna have a session that's slightly shorter today. I do have students to conference with. Surprise, surprise! I teach. Um, I teach. It's a really fun thing. I think it's a special thing. It's a nice experience for me. I think I working with students to think clearly through um, big things, big ideas, and I take it to be it's a good challenge. It's definitely a privilege these days to um to try to help somebody harness their creativity and understand that they have value, they have something to contribute already. And then at the same time, with the experience that I have or with the lessons I've learned about organizing ideas, about expressing them clearly, about putting them into language that has specific expectations attached. I feel it's also good to have students who come knowing that they have something to contribute, to have time to challenge, to push back, to ask clarifying questions, so that there's a negotiation between the creator and the audience. There has to be a negotiation. And I was thinking about something like this just for a couple minutes in the shower. There's a friend of mine. Of course, there are a lot of wild things going on these days, um, and he set up the opposition of like something like online conversation versus like what did he call it, the meet place or the meet converse, like basically digital or online versus in person. And I think he was taking the view that an online persona is less filtered. It's it's somebody generally feeling more comfortable speaking their mind, as in potentially the online performance is closer to is a is a near is a clear reflection of the person's actual um, thought process or like internal life, that the online performance is maybe a more genuine performance, and there might be something to that. I think a lot of people do walk around, move around in fear. Oh, why am I missing numbers here? I think we all have some kind of sense that um, we have to, on some level, be. Let me put it. Let me think about how to put it carefully. We have to be careful with each other in public, or when we're physically near each other. Of course, when we're separated by screens and keyboards, there's no real threat, or at least there doesn't appear, or there doesn't seem to be a threat of violence, right? Um, or it's because it's easier for us to present ideas without noticing the expressions on people's faces, without being near, without being proximal to um, the the reflection of the internal life on the face, right, on the voice. Because it's harder to see how we affect people, then it feels like we're more free to express ourselves in spaces that are like online. You know what? Have I messed this up? Should I be doing this differently, actually? Like, where should 0 be? Because I almost think that tens should be over here, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if this was 0, though, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. Is that more natural? I'm actually not sure. Um, anyway, I was thinking a lot about how, and you know, with this writing course, and that's why I'm going to have a shorter stream today. I think that negotiation, that dialogue, and even in person, if possible, is actually really. I think it's a positive thing that we, on some level, put pressure on each other, that we put limitations on each other. That feels less genuine, but at the same time, we create our identities, our personalities in community. And I think it is probably a mistake for us to think that the best way to navigate the world is for us to define it ourselves. I mean, alone, because that doesn't happen anyway, right? Even you know, it seems like we've forgotten what development is, how it works, because we develop in community, and the healthier the community, whatever that, you know, however however you define that. I'm sure there are lots of ways to think about it, but the healthier the community, yeah, I think the more I think the more somebody can comfortably negotiate and co-construct ideas and identities. So I don't know. That's kind of maybe complicated, but like when I'm working with a student, and actually when I play test, when I give feedback to designers, it's all a very similar process. It's all the same kind of stuff, the same kind of thinking, where I'm, you know, a game is at its best when the designer and the gamer, when the audience understand each other, right? When it's understood to be a co-created experience. You know, you can design a game for nobody. You could do that. And you can try to design a game for everybody. And that also appears to be a problem. So it's cool when you define your audience and you and your audience negotiate. And that's through playtesting and feedback. And the same thing happens with writing. The same thing happens in any situation where creativity is interesting and where it matters and where it's for an intended audience. That negotiation is really important. I feel like that's where I messed up when it came to self-publishing last year. I didn't do enough negotiation with the intended audience. That's a mistake. When, you know, and that's from that includes everything from the gameplay, the mechanics, to the rule book, right? The written rule book. That's why blind or unguided playtesting is so important, so that you get a sense for whether or not the people who you want to understand your game through the rule book actually understand your game through the rule book, right? So anyway, I'm glad. It sounds like I'll be getting a second shot. What is typical here? Like, this even looks weird that that I've done it this way. I feel like I should. I'm gonna do it. This is too strange. So I'm just gonna knock these out of the spot. So this is gonna end at 29 then, right? It just looks so weird to me now, all of a sudden. I don't know if I meant to have one more. Should I have one more square in this series? Maybe I should. Right? It's very odd that I just stuck the 0 off to the side here. At the same time, there's not a lot of space. 9 is here. Yeah, that's fine, right? Of course that's fine. Is this suddenly like a really weird thing? Like, why is this tricky for me to look at right now? Okay, well, I'm looking forward to those conferences with students because I really, really like dialoguing with people about their ideas and kind of looking into them and saying, is this what you're going for? I'm not quite following you there. Or oh wow, that's a really interesting connection. Can you tell me more about that? It's stuff like that. Um, or I see you're making some really strong claims here. Let's talk about the evidence you've got for those claims. Like it's just fun to be in dialogue with people, and it's a reason why I really look forward to these conferences because I know I don't actually get to see these students face to face. They're in Tennessee or they're in North Carolina or South Carolina. Is it North Carolina? I think so. Or just like all over mainly in the U.S. I think last semester I had at least one student. He was in Italy, which was kind of interesting. Um, yeah, isn't that so weird? It just looks right. There's a gap of 4. There's a gap of 3. It's really odd. Anyway, but this makes more sense anyway. So I don't have this. I think the reason I did it like this was that for some reason, it made sense to me when I did it that I could just have the tracker, the cube, sitting off to the side. But there's absolutely no reason for that, and partly because it starts on 3 anyway. So I don't know why. It was probably an idea that lost its relevance at some point. Okay, Mike, I want to say I'm gonna run an idea by you, which was based on your idea. I think it's similar to what you were saying yesterday, so I'm kind of excited about it. I'll probably redesign it. I mean, I might lay it out differently from the way I did it yesterday, because I do have it set up in TTS. I'll show you in a second. I do need to remember to be off by 40 minutes from now. Yeah, 40 minutes. So I actually am going to set an alarm for this. I think it was 7:10. Yeah, 40 minutes. Okay, so that's a nice, cute little adjustment. I'll download these now. What? 1 and 2, right? I'm really excited for where this game is. I don't know that it, you know, I really can't tell yet what sort of changes it needs. I think what I was considering right before I started stream is that I feel like these decisions, Mike, are the really sensitive ones. Like these are the choices about, you know, the like at least what we're processing when it comes to like the end game triggers and stuff like that. These final really experience based or I don't know what it is. They feel like they have higher stakes, these choices. Because there's like a really simple, right? Like the system that I had was really simple. You go to the community projects card, or you activate that location, and you pay the money and you claim a spot, and that's it, right? Is that interesting? Not necessarily. Was it creating the tension I was hoping? No, I don't think it was. So that's why we talked about adjusting costs. I also really like that you noticed that there was a kind of resource. It's interesting thinking about this because, as I pointed out yesterday, it was a revelation when when I noticed that discarded cubes were a resource that I could take advantage of, and that's where the grant office was born. That's how, being able to choosing to go somewhere so that the discarded cube would go to the grant office, like just noticing that that's a kind of resource to use was a really fun realization. And now that you pointed out that actually extra workers are a kind of resource, it's like a subcategory of worker, right? The extra worker. It's cool to even notice because it's not a separate resource in the sense that it's still just a worker, but the choice, right? The treatment of that resource, it is itself a kind of resource. So that is like the treatment of the timing of something, or when you earn something and what happens to it. I think it's really cool to think of that as like a subtype. Okay, so I'll show you what I have currently, the setup for it. Maybe you can hear the rooster going in the background. Okay, so what was the problem we were solving? It was partly that it seemed like community projects was going unused. I observed that both in the playtest for virtual playtesting, was that Thursday maybe? And in my self-playtest yesterday, I don't think I went for community projects at all. Oh, until very late. Until it was clear that one of the players was almost guaranteed I'm sorry, I need to turn on my fan a little bit, I think. So unfortunately you're going to hear some of that fan noise. Sorry about that. But I think that's what I've identified when when I start dropping frames. I'm pretty sure it's not my laptop. No, I'm pretty sure it's not my internet connection. I think it's my laptop stressing out. So I apologize. I try to move it away from the mic a little bit, but it is going to pick it up. At least I think that's my best theory right now. Okay, so it seemed to solve. Ooh. It's really trying here. Still says we're connected. Anyway, see how it goes. Okay, so we were solving the problem that community projects were not getting any attention. That was part of the problem. The other problem was that these cards were also kind of being ignored. So we're talking about the gift shop, and Syrup Inc. I'm kind of okay with Syrup, partly because it's a bad exchange. So on the face of it, like going to this card is a little bit of a concession that really need something, you either you need something in an emergency. Hmm. Not sure what's going on here. Maybe my phone is also overheating. Okay. This is crazy. It's still alive, sort of. So hopefully it hangs on. Yeah, unstable. Well, let me just show you. Actually, I'll just screenshot this so I can close it, and maybe that will help us. Okay. So, yeah, hopefully we're doing okay. Now this is another attempt at community projects. So it just because of space, it's 2 cards that that would overlap a little bit, and the idea here is, I wonder if it's obvious to you. It's like the chess guy I watch. What's his name? Agad Matur. What is his name? He says, "We'll pause the video and see if you can find the chess move or whatever. I'll give you a couple of seconds." And then he says something like, "For those of you who found it, or those of you who just want to enjoy the show," something, and then he demonstrates whatever the move was. So it would be nice if you could sort of make meaning of this here. So hopefully you've noticed a few things. Number one, this is now a I shouldn't have done that. It's a timing thing. So there are quite a few games. Actually, we just played My Father's Work the other day, or we played for 2 days because it took. Okay, right? So that is the first part. So keep in mind that these are connected now. These 2 cards are related. It doesn't, yeah, I'm sure there'd be another way to show that visually. Okay. So actually I wonder if the workers should go below. Actually no, what I wanted to do is kind of change the layout. Like I'll probably shift this card to the side, maybe. I wonder if that would clarify things. Then move to the bottom and pay. Okay. I appreciate that thought. Well, the first thing that I'm sure you noticed is that, just like you suggested, this is a place to place extra workers. So that's the first thing. So instead of taking extra workers that you would have earned from one of 3 places, actually extra workers only come from the gift shop, from Syrup Inc., and from one of the mayor's favor cards. So you would, instead of sending that extra worker to the Sugar Shack, you would send them to volunteer for a community project. So that's what this means. It means place an extra worker here on this card. That's what the little arrow means under the extra worker. So then, so you're right that you would get $2. You'd get 2 money for doing that. So the math of the game says that that's basically an even exchange. So the power that we gave a worker is equal to twice the power of a single money or of a cube. So this is an even exchange. Place the worker here and get 2 money. It should be an even exchange in some way. Of course, situationally it would matter. You know, sometimes you want more workers, sometimes you want more money. But anyway, so that's an even exchange. And once you've placed a worker on A, like the section related on the space related to A, my thinking is that allows you to support community project A. So I guess, you know what, actually, I've just realized something. I already need to make a really important change. So I think what would have clarified this whole thing is removing, yeah, I think this is easily done. Removing one of these squares. So there's no reason this was here. So this is the blue side, this is the red side. So why did I not realize this till just now? I'm not sure. Interesting. Okay. So I can see one of the issues. Oh, I see what's going on. Oops. It's a transparency thing. So this wants to be behind each of these. Okay, so the idea is that once you have placed a worker on A, now you can come back and support community project A. That's what I was thinking anyway. I don't know that it's a brilliant idea, but that is what I was thinking. So Mike, I think like you suggested it could be a requirement. So what it's not, I couldn't think of a good way to show I couldn't think of a good way to show a price reduction. That's where this idea first, that's how it evolved. So at first what I was thinking, it'd be something like you know, for every worker you add to this card, for every worker card, reduce the cost by whatever, 2 or something, right? But I couldn't think of a good way to show that. You know, it's weird. I actually tried to lay out a card that could mean something like that. It would have been something like gain 2 money, right? Like this is gain 2 money instantly. And so what I thought was to have it say gain 2 money, and I had some collection of symbols that showed, you know, completing a community project. I tried to squeeze it all on this original card, and that was not getting anywhere. So Instead, what I'm trying is to show that once you place a worker on A, now you can support community project A. That might not be obvious, but hopefully at least the way that it's shown in the rulebook or described in the rulebook, plus some of these little aids, like making the connection from this A to this A, hopefully it's clear. What I think also helps is just now realizing that this should not have shown two colors. So the concept is that the first player to get 3 of these to support 3 community projects, if a player supports 3 community projects, then they win automatically at the end of their turn. So I shouldn't have shown blue and red on the left, blue and red on the right over here. Yeah, well, right. So what I think is, what's nice here is, yes, the benefit of 2 money happens now. And then anyway, on a later turn, I could even increase the benefit if we're really trying to motivate people to go here. Anyway, so but this was the flow of it in the sense of like making sure that the workers, the extra workers being placed here, that it was a requirement. So they place a worker here. Now on a later turn, they can come back and support the project. And now there's this timing element, just like I was mentioning, or wow, I am not sure why it's struggling right now. True. The thing is there's so 2 is good. It's less than close to market. The thing is, you're not technically going here. At least this is in my view. So you cannot come here and place a worker here. That's not what's happening. What's happening is that whenever you earn an extra worker, you can choose to send it here or to send it to the Sugar Shack, right? I almost think it's actually a cheaper, in a way, it's kind of a cheaper thing than one of your automatic workers. I don't know how to say what I'm thinking right now. Except for when you go and do it at Syrup Inc., when you get an extra worker at Syrup Inc. Oh no, but there is a cost, because as in these extra workers are really important for the growth of your engine, because this is the only way to get multiple actions, or it's the best way to get more actions during your turn. So it is a real serious cost to send an extra worker away. In particular, toward the beginning of the game, that's the best way to get an advantage, is if you're able to take more than 1 action on your turn, right? Especially if it's one of the more powerful actions. So if you have access to 3 workers and the other player has access to only 2 workers, you can potentially get a really nice edge if you're able to spend those workers appropriately. And that could include getting the first player marker. It could include going to the Farland market to get a better payout, all that stuff. Okay, so anyway, here we place an extra worker. I don't know how to make that clear. Oh, this is suddenly actually really confusing, potentially confusing for players, because to connect the cards is to connect the top card to this bottom activation. And I don't like that, because that's not what's happening. At least not it's not the way that I was thinking about it. Okay, so they place a worker here. Once they have, then they can come back and support a community project. But in that case, they actually would have to activate this card with 2 workers. And if they do it during week 1, then it's only 7 money. Week 2, it's 12. So it's an increase of 5. And then for week 3, it's an increase of 4. And that's because I expect by week 2 for a player's engine to be running pretty efficiently. They probably have 1 or 2 upgrades. They will have had 1 or 2 they will have earned 1 or 2 Mayor's Favor cards, which gives you a nice payout typically. So I think by by week 2, 12 money's not out of reach. But put the lower squares into a box with the 2 workers in that box. Well, I'm not exactly sure. One issue I'm running across, and I'm not sure if this would affect your comment, Mike, is that space is a problem. So I'm trying to use the same size of the worker shape and the same size of the cube shape that I'm using on all the other cards. So I can show like little worker icons maybe. Yeah, I guess I'm not exactly sure what you're describing there. What the link I was hoping to create, and remember, it only has to be I think kind of only loosely indicated. I mean, in the sense that they're gonna need to read the rulebook anyway. I don't know that I can make it super obvious how this works, but it just needs to jog their memory that there needs to be a worker here in order to fulfill one of these projects. The other thing that could be confusing here is that these are lined up. So it's not that this one is 7 and this one is 12. If the player rushes this at the start of the round, I mean the start of the game, then both of these would be 7. Right? If they figured out how to send 2 extra workers up here and then had the money to do it, both of these would be 7. So I actually don't like that these are lined up in this way. But it's a space problem. Huh. Yeah, if this... Because the way I have the cards laid out right now, the costs, or like what cubes you can use, or whatever, they're all on the left side of the card. So I like that continuity. Same thing here with Serve Inc. And with the gift shop, everything is lined up on the left. So that's why I have it over here. It could make more sense. To slide everything over. Here, let me just do that and see how it looks. What happened to my keyboard? Okay, I have just a little over 10 minutes left. What in the world? I think my keyboard died. some odd behaviors every now and then. So I'm going to slide this over. And then I can show the costs somewhere else. I go over here. I think the reason I like this orientation is that it's the same orientation that I use on which card? It's one of the Mayor's Favor cards. But I don't mind this. That's not horrible. Let me just align these. That. Do these need alignment? They do. So that seems to be enough space. It's not pretty, but it's okay. Shift these a little bit. So I was actually thinking to send this card off to the side. In TTS, I showed the image. I'll bring it back up. What in the world? There it is. So it was oriented like this, and I'm tempted to move this card somewhere else. Except I like that when they overlap, that the community projects sign sits right in between them. I like that. I don't know that it's worth keeping the cards this way. Also, I don't know that it has to be. Do I have to be committed? I'm not sure I need to be committed to this being extra workers, to be honest. Like, why is it, now that I'm thinking a little more about it, I like the idea that there's some tension now with what you could do with your extra workers. I think that's a really nice thought. At the same time, why not just make it place a worker here, right? Which I think is a little bit, that might be the way you read it originally, Mike. Just place a worker here. Why not just let it be that simple? Why add this extra thing of an extra worker? Now you have a choice. Send your extra worker to the Sugar Shack or send it to community projects. So I almost don't think we need this requirement just now, even though it came from that idea. I'm not convinced we need that idea. Right. It would be extra steps with a payout in between, right? So there's that touch of motivation to go there for money. It's an even exchange, but it could bump you over. It could bump you over like the threshold for, to get an upgrade. So that's good. And so you might, so that's actually cool, right? But then you also incidentally get access to paying for one of these community projects. The only thing I kind of don't like about this at the moment is that it's going to mean we need more meeples. So it's just an extra expense. Right? just add components. Awesome. But as an idea, I think it's better. It's cleaner as an idea. The other thing is, like, how many meeples could you place here on one turn? Could you place 3? Could you do that? That seems like, I mean, hopefully you would really be setting yourself back. Yeah, because I don't know that, like, I don't know if it's theoretically possible, but imagine that somebody on their turn just dumps all their meeples in here, fills up this card. And then subsequent turns, they just, you know, spam the markets or something like that. Then they suddenly jump up to having, well, I think it'd be hard to get 14 money in the 21 money in the first round. I mean, first week. But I don't know why that would be. It probably is impossible, but I don't know for sure that it's impossible. Because that would be an unfortunate result, is if somebody just... Oh. Just go back to this one. Wait. By original design, do you mean this one? No, that's not the original design. Yes, it is. It's the... This is the original... Oops. Without these things. Pay at the end of the round to move workers over. That's the part I'm not really following. So you could go back to the original design, but change it to the round cost. I like that idea. I do. I like that idea. I mean, I like if we were to go back to this model, then I do definitely like the idea of something based on rounds. That's what my father's work does. I feel like I kept bringing that up and never actually finished that observation. You have cards that give you big points, and the earlier that you satisfy those cards, or you meet the requirements of those cards, the more points you get. So it's kind of the reverse, right? I'm sure a bunch of games do this. So this wouldn't need to... I'm going to just copy this for now. So these money requirements will be gone. Mike, see if you can describe the idea of moving a worker over. Because what I feel like I'm hearing you say is, like, get rid of the requirement of placing a meeple up here. Are you saying that? Because now these can just shift over. And it can show the requirement. The other thing is that this still allows for... I guess I should... I don't think cleaning and tidying up is going to help. Nope, definitely not. Group. Group these like this. Just lining this one up in the middle. Yeah, I do like this different style of requirement. Something dynamic. So this provides the pressure to come to community projects early, right? That's kind of what we were missing before. Yeah, see that, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's a really weird thing to have a so it's not I don't it's just not technically the discount um the way this works as it is on this card right now, it's not a discount. It's not an ongoing discount. I'm not sure if that's what you're saying. Oh wait, why did I do that? The placement of that meeple simply unlocks the ability to earn or to claim one of these, one like a spot, either A or B. Right? So I had to place a worker here, and now it lets me earn A. Place a worker here, lets me earn B. Place a worker here, lets me earn C. It also happens that when I place a worker, it gives me 2 money. But that's not an ongoing discount. Hmm. Okay. Um. Okay, I do need to transition away because I have these student meetings coming up. But this is a to be continued situation because I'm not quite sure. I think what I'm feeling limited by the iconography in the game so far, and I want to make everything legible on the cards without, with as little text as possible. So I think it's where I'm kind of hitting a snag is on how to tell people what's going on the cards. So that's I think the tricky bit here. Um, like I'm not following the idea of moving something over. X to move them. Yeah. So it's not continually providing, right? That's the thing. There's no and there's no space to do that on this card. So it still need to be 2 cards. Um um okay, yep, I need to rush away. Thanks a lot, Mike. Appreciate your time as always. I will see you soon.